Good afternoon. I'm honored to welcome you all on today's webinar hosted by Jananvo. My name is Pragya from the marketing team, and I have the privilege of being your host for this insightful session. Before we begin, I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed speaker, Divakar Angra, has a couple of years of experience in clinical data transparency process. He handles anonymization of clinical data sets, documents, and calculation of risk assessment. He has worked on various projects which are published on Health Canada and EMA, and currently working with Genenvo as anonymization analyst. And he'll be sharing his invaluable insights on technology advancements, a boon, and clinical data transparency. Without further ado, let's begin this webinar. I encourage you all to actively engage and make the most of this enriching opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Pragya, for the introduction. Hi, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. So, welcome to the webinar on technology advancements, boon in clinical data transparency. So, let's have a quick look at our agenda. So, we will begin with a brief introduction to clinical data and what are the sources, means how it is collected. So after that, we will get to know about what is clinical data transparency and why it is important. And after that, we will have a look at what is anonymization and its need, followed by a presentation on the role of technology in clinical data transparency and its advantages. And at last, we will go through the future outlook. So what is clinical data? So clinical data means any information which is related to the health of the participants, or we can say the individuals which are enrolled in the trial, and that information is collected during the course of medical care or their clinical research. This data is used to understand diseases, evaluate treatments, improve healthcare outcomes. We can check the safety, efficacy of the drug, and it supports the medical decision making. Now let's look what are the sources of clinical data. So first one, electronic health records. So it includes your patient medical histories, any diagnosis which are done, treatment plans, etc. Second one, clinical trial data. This is the most important source according to our topic, clinical data transparency. So any data which is collected during the clinical trial, it comes under clinical trial data. So it includes your demographics, age, demographics like age, sex, race, height, weight, anything, medical history, any treatment or outcomes, any adverse events occurred, any side effects, efficacy and safety measures, everything that is encountered or happened during the trial is collected in clinical trial data. Third one, laboratory data. So any test performed, like any blood test, or we can say any X-rays, MRI, CT scans done, so that comes on the laboratory data. So fourth one, patient reported outcomes. Any information which is collected directly from the patient, like how they are feeling by taking that drug. So we know there is a questionnaire asked from the patients, like how they are feeling, or like if we say there is a gastro clinical trial going on, and we say how their bowels movement, how they are passing the stool. So these type of outcomes are collected under patient reported outcomes. So last one, medical imaging. So medical imaging, it includes your CT scans, MRI, X-rays. So basically, those are the DICOM files. So what is DICOM? DICOM means digital imaging and communications in medicine. It is a standard for communications and management of medical related information, imaging related information, and related data. Let's move on to the next slide. What is clinical data transparency? So clinical data transparency means sharing such information which is related to your clinical data, and that information is shared publicly from clinical trials and other healthcare activities for the perspective of research and data analysis. And that information should be shared in such a way that it should be accessible, understandable, and the most important thing, by protecting patient privacy. It is important because healthcare decisions or analysis should be based on the, we can say, complete and accurate evidence available. So what does mean by accessible? As I said, so accessibility means making clinical data available to researchers, regulators, healthcare professionals, sometimes public. It includes your trial protocols, any results, either positive or negative, and any anonymized participant level data. And it should be clear and concise. It means the data should be complete, well documented, and understandable. And we should avoid selective reporting, or means we should need to avoid or hide. We do not need to avoid hiding any unfavorable outcomes that has been occurred during the trial. But the most important thing is that we have to protect the patient personal identifiable information, which needs ensured by the compliance data protection laws like HIPAA and GDPR. And we need to meet the regulatory and ethical guidelines from agencies, different regulatory agencies like Health Canada, EMA, and etc. So in simple terms, clinical data transparency means we should need to be honest and open about the data which is collected in clinical research, and we have to share what is working and what is not, and everything. So let's go to next slide. Importance of clinical data transparency. Transparency in clinical data is no longer optional today. It is becoming necessity day by day. So regulatory bodies like Health Canada and EMA and other agencies, we say they are pushing for open access to clinical trial data. So for the first one, enhances trust and trust in research. It means when we are sharing the data openly and publicly, it brings trust among patients, researchers, and healthcare providers. The open data assures the public and other stakeholders that decisions are based on complete and unbiased evidence. Second one, it supports better clinical decisions. So when clinicians make evidence-based treatment, so their choices by reviewing the comprehensive trial data, from that patients are benefited from those treatments that are proven safe and effective in transparent research. Third one, it protects patient privacy. When all the outcomes are disclosed, we can say either positive or negative. So healthcare system can prevent harm, and we can improve our protocols for the next in the future. So it avoids duplication. Duplication of failed or unsafe trials can be avoided, and it saves our time, funds also, and resource by how it is saved by learning from the past. And last one, meets ethical and legal standards. So transparency honors the contribution of trial participants, and we need to ensure compliance with regulatory framework. As we have discussed earlier, regulatory agencies like Health Canada, EMA, and many more. Now, what is anonymization? Anonymization is the process it is the process of removing or altering personal, identifiable, and sensitive information from the data to avoid re-identification. What is the need for anonymization? It protects privacy. It means to safeguard subject participants or trial participants, entities, and their personal information, exceptionally when data is being shared publicly or it needs to be published. Second one, legal compliance. And to when we have to share the data openly and publicly, we need to be compliant with the data protection laws as discussed earlier, like HIPAA and GDPR. And those data protection laws mandate anonymization for certain types of data processing. Third one, data sharing. It enables organizations to share data for the perspective of research, analysis, and sometimes we can say collaboration but we do not need to compromise the individual or the trial participant privacy. Fourth one, risk reduction. When with the help of clinical data transparency and anonymization, we can reduce or minimize the risk of data breaches and misuse of personal information. Fifth point, ethical responsibility. It means this point ensures that data should be handled ethically, especially in sensitive domains like healthcare or social research and other domains. Now let's see what's the drawback of the manual anonymization. So in the past, when we were doing the manual anonymization, making redactions on the Adobe, so it was very time consuming and labor intensive. So much of labor, or we can say employees, were enrolled. So when it is a time consuming and we are doing it manually, so there are chances of high risk of human error, or sometimes some identifiers can be missed. So that risk brings inconsistency in your documents, and this inconsistency can be in your one document also and across the documents of one particular submission, because one particular submission does not include only one document. It includes so many documents, protocols, CSRs, others document narratives also. So when we are doing it manually, it is not scalable very fast, and sometimes there is a language barrier also, and sometimes the protocol is in different language and we do not know that language, and we have to redact something. We cannot do that because we do not have the knowledge of that. So for that purpose, we need to hire another person who knows that language. Now let's move on to the how technology is is beneficial to us. So technology is acting as a catalyst to us. So first point, automation, anonymization of clinical documents, protocols, CSRs, narratives, etc. So with the help of AI and ML, we can automatically remove or alter the PI information from the documents by just one click. For example, any information like names, emails, PI information like this, we can redact them in just one go. And in narratives, there is so much of information presented, like age, sex, race, medical history, height, weight, conmats. So those can also be redacted or journalized according to your own rule-based anonymization. So you can define your own rule of anonymization, and you can do it. If you have to journalize the age, that will be done in the complete narrative document by just one click. Second one, automated data anonymization. With the help of AI/ML, we can systematically remove, or we can say modify, personally identifiable information from datasets. And we need to ensure that individuals cannot be re-identified, and we have to preserve the data utility for the from the analysis perspective. Techniques which are used in automation are like masking, generalization, suppression. We can use pseudonymization of subject IDs. We can recode them also. So that is all also done automatically with the help of AI/ML. So third one, automated anonymization of DICOM images. So as we know, DICOM file is a source of clinical data. So DICOM is not only a viewable image, like we see other pictures in our phone, or we can say we have clicked some random pictures and we are seeing, and that contains some pixel value. But DICOM is not like that. DICOM is a standalone file, and all the information which is needed to identify the individual is presented in the DICOM file, and that information is presented in the header of DICOM files. And those header contains large variety of data elements. So so that each data element is represented by a unique tag with specific values, and we can say data types. And those tags are written into 2 hexadecimal numbers, which indicates its group and element number. So this metadata element, which is in the DICOM file, not only include the identifiable information about the subject or the patient who is enrolled in the trial, but it also provides the information about the study and the institution also. And sharing such sensitive information, as we know, demands or requires proper protection to ensure data safety and maintain patient privacy. So with the help of AI/ML, Geninvo is using their in-house automation tool for anonymizing the DICOM files. And is it interesting that we are anonymizing the DICOM files by just one click, and subject ID is anonymized, age is journalized, and work is done very fast, and it maintains the image quality also. Fourth point, automating open web CCI search. So this is the most important and interesting point for everyone, because every company wants to their information to be kept confidential. So what does CCI means? CCI stands for the commercial confidential information. It means it refers to the sensitive business information which is not publicly disclosed. If by any chance if publicly disclosed, that can harm the position of the company or the sponsor who has conducted the trial. For example, like your trade secrets, your formulation details, any manufacturing process, we can say, etc. So with the help of AI/ML and web scanning, CCI information is searched on the web. And if the CCI and if any information is available on the web of that particular drug, then we will not mark that information as CCI. And this will reduce our time between regulatory agency and our trial, because any information which is marked CCI by us, but that information is available publicly, so that regulatory agency will come back to us and say that this information is available on the web, so please unredact this. You cannot go for the redaction. So with the help of open web CCI search, we can reduce that time and emails between so much to and fro between regulatory agencies. Next point, automated real-time risk analysis. So differential privacy technique, K-anonymity, is automated to assess the risk of re-identification of participants who are enrolled in the study. Risk assessment is done for the safety of the and privacy of the trial participants who are enrolled in that particular trial. We just need to select the direct and indirect identifiers, and risk assessment will be done automatically. Now, what are the direct and indirect identifiers? Direct identifiers are those identifiers which are unique and can identify the individual or the patient by their own. They do not need to be dependent on any another variable. And what are indirect identifiers? Indirect identifiers are also known as quasi identifiers. So it is a in indirect identifier, the information is in pieces. So those pieces of information cannot identify the individual, but when they are clubbed together or combined together, then they can re-identify the patient. For example, like if there is an age, with age generalization, we cannot identify that who belongs to 20 to 30 years of age. So that we cannot identify because there is so much of data. When we combine that person is a male, and we know that we have to identify a male who belongs to 20 to 30 group. Now, if we add another variable like race, and it belongs to Asian or it is a white, now we know we have clubbed three things, and we are looking for this particular subject. So when we are clubbing all them, after that only we can identify the subject. So those are indirect variables. Use of NLP tool. So with the use of AI, ML, and NLP to make the process of anonymizing with the use of NLP tool, we can anonymize the clinical data as exceptionally unstructured data, like we can say phone numbers, any locations, we can say names. So that can be automated, or we can do by just one click. So we use NLP for that. Automation of multilingual documents. So with the use of AI, ML, and NLP also, to make the process of anonymizing and translating documents much easier and faster. We do not need to know. With the help of NLP tools and NER model, we can automatically find and hide sensitive information. And we do not need to know every language. Once we redact the English version, the system scans and translates it in the background, and then it automatically applies the same redaction to the other language versions. This is all powered by we can say the smart translation API models that understand the meaning of the text, and that make sure that everything lines up correctly in different languages. Last one, computer vision. With the help of computer vision, we can redact handwritten text, signatures, any handwritten signatures that is done in the document, and that can also be done by just one click. We just have to click on signatures and redact. It will be done automatically in the whole document. And what it do as a backend, it searches the coordinates of that particular handwritten signature and makes the box automatically on those particular signatures. And signatures, any handwritten text, then those are redacted automatically. Now, what are the advantages of automated anonymization? We know the privacy protection is all ensured, but with the automation it is enhanced. How it is enhanced? So when we automatically detects and removes sensitive data like names, addresses, phone numbers, and many more, this reduces the risk of data breaches and identity theft, and it brings speed and efficiency. We can process large volume of data much faster than manual methods. And when privacy is enhanced, speed is enhanced, time is uh, reducing. It brings consistency and accuracy. It means it ensures like uniform application of anonymization rule across your documents and data sets. We will not be inconsistent in the document and across the document, and this will bring accuracy. And it reduces the human error and subjectivity in identifying sensitive information. Yes, it is cost effective also. It reduces the need of larger teams to manually review and redact the data. It also minimizes the legal and reputational costs that are involved with the data leaks. That is the main point. It is scalable. We can scale very easily. We can grow with the growing data volume and the complexity, and this can be integrated into data pipelines and automated workflows. And of course, there is no language barrier. We can redact any other language document without knowing that language. How interesting that is. And we just need to redact only the English version of that document. Now let's look at the future outlook. Now in this picture you can see that there is AI there and the human. So AI is assisting us in anonymizing the documents, and if with the help of recommendation engine, you can do if anything you have done your work and by chance you have missed anything that needs to be redacted, and that AI and recommendation engine will help you that you haven't redacted this thing on this page, please go to that and redact that. How that would be interesting. And how interesting that would be if we do the batch processing. Like we have scheduled one job and we are doing one thing, and we have to go something for the party, or we can say our shift is closing. So if we have scheduled the second job, and that will be automatically done by the AI because that job is scheduled on the server. And when you come back home and open your laptop on the next day, you see that your job is done, and you can go with the another tasks, day-to-day activities. So that, how interesting that would be. Thank you.
Thank you, Divakar. That was really insightful. Now I would like to open the floor for questions. We have a query, Divakar from Megha Chopra. Could you please check and revert?
Sure.
You can turn off your screen, Divakar. That's not
Yeah.
an issue.
Yeah, I have turned off. So, okay. So you are asking that with the rise of AI and automation tools in clinical data anonymization and redaction, how can we ensure a balance between data utility for researchers and privacy protection for patients? Okay. So we can say that we must use, we can say, context-aware anonymization techniques that remove identifiable information while preserving clinical meaning and data utility. Additionally, we need to apply differential privacy techniques that ensure researchers can have access to the meaningful data, but main thing we need to keep in mind that we should not compromise the privacy of subjects, and regular audits and we can say ethical oversight further help us maintaining this balance. I hope I have cleared your question.
So thank you everyone for your participation and contribution. We hope you found this webinar informative and enriching. Stay connected with us for future events and updates. Have a wonderful day.